then Late Night Love is a place for you. Since life is negative enough, here we discuss everything love, what we love, who we love, and why we love. So join us on Saturday nights at 11:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and please remember, love everybody. And welcome everybody to yet another version of Late Night Love, and we'd like to thank you for taking your time and spending some of it with us. There's an interesting bit of news that hit this week about love and kind of its repercussions and what it means and how do we all kind of get through this. And at least brings up a interesting discussion, I think. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Is that how you pronounce that? I hope Pinkett. And that they did a sit down where she admitted that she had an affair, even though apparently they were separated at the time. So I guess there's a question there, depending upon your mutual agreements. But they've apparently managed to make their way back from that. And I know we've discussed before about, can you build a relationship back after that kind of thing? And we've talked about how it's possible, but likely not easy, and their road is likely not done. I suspect it's even harder when you live in the public eye to try to have an understanding, try to put together a life back together. It's hard enough for, the banker and the real estate agent to do it, having to do it in front of the public eye when you're one of the most noticeable people on earth in Will Smith. And then, you have to go tell the world that your wife was unfaithful, maybe, sort of, depending upon how you view these things. And they said they figured they were done with each other. And so if that's kind of the view they were working from, maybe it's understandable. And then you understand that, maybe I like my old life better. Grass is greener. Who knows? These are complicated issues, and humans are complicated emotional creatures. And how we build ourselves as human beings, as couples, as families, and how you get through rough patches. And they're a unique couple anyway. They each have their unique outlook on lives. And so, maybe unique couples have unique solutions. Average people have average solutions. Or maybe there is no solutions. Or maybe the solution is their solution. Maybe there is no right answer. Maybe the answer is that, whatever works for them. If they die still married, still happy, then what business is it of ours how they got there? And I think ultimately, that's what we should all remember. This is hard enough in a normal relationship, and it's got to be incredibly difficult for them. So we should probably not try to talk about it too much and let them heal, or not, on their own accord. So on that issue, we're going to bring Miss Lubbynator in. Oh, I got to turn that off. There we go.
Good evening.
All right. That's a heavy issue to start with, but it is love. You can't get through that without love. You couldn't get back to where they...
Right. Did you read the article?
Yeah. And I heard a couple. I read another one, too. It's not the only one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a complicated thing.
She was saying that he gave her permission.
Well, but then they kind of backed off of that.
They did.
she felt that she didn't need permission.
Yeah.
If you actually read to the end of the article, she got to the end where she said she didn't feel she needed permission because they thought they were over. She gave herself permission.
Yeah.
Which, if ultimately you give yourself permission or not, right? If you are unfaithful or come border to that line, it's because you've made that decision one way or another, and you decided to either deal with the repercussions or not, or maybe you said, well, the hell with it, there's no more repercussions, we're done. It's just a matter of figuring out how to.
But he was a 23-year-old young man. Where did she think this was going?
She wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
She was hurting.
She was hurting.
Yeah.
And I know he asked her for help. He had some issues, and they got emotionally entangled, which is why you don't play psychiatrists.
Well, but if you're going to do that, you have to accept that no, there's nothing. He cannot, under any circumstances, go farther, because you have to give yourself your 9 months, your year, whatever. It's just she put herself in a bad spot, but you can understand how it happened.
Of course, I understand how it happened.
She was emotionally vulnerable, probably feeling lonely, unsure where her life was going. She got an emotional attachment to somebody who's probably a good human being. I see no reason to think he's not a good human being. And and then at some point she realizes, well, this is, thoughts got up to emotions, or emotions ran dry. We know how things go. It runs its course, so to speak.
Yes. It's a very human thing.
Yeah. It's.
And the fact that they're doing this all in the public eye just gives me shudders.
But the grace of God go I. And
really.
and all that. All right. So, as uncomfortable segues go, what do we got over there?
Well, I happened to find on the internet 100 relationship questions to ask a guy in 2019.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to ask 100 of them. Some of them
thank God.
Really bad.
Those are probably the ones you want to hear. Well, hey, just mark off the ones we've asked. If we need to fill time, we can come back. So where we get just so we can get credit where credit is due.
Where is this? This is called techlazy.com.
All right. So techlazy.com. Hey, that sounds like something we'd love. Techlazy.com.
Yeah.
That's a great source for us. Good Lord. Okay. All right.
Okay, we're going to start easy. What is the true foundation for a relationship?
The true foundation for a relationship? Well, that's awfully personal. For me, it's trust, but not in the way actually. It's a more fundamental. Trust isn't actually quite the right word, if to be honest about it. It's like trust. I gotta move this over while I'm talking to you. We've got to reset this office. Anyway, trust isn't quite the right word, but it's the closest word I can think of. Because, in a sense, it's an emotional trust. In a sense, I think I could be like Will Smith, and I could forgive someone an emotional weak moment or whatever. I could get past it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm an overly sympathetic human being. But I could get past it, because what I would think about is, where was that person? They had to be someplace dark or lonely, or something had to happen, a unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience they couldn't pass. Unless someone's just totally, completely off the wall, not giving a rat's ass about you as a human being, then I could probably get past it. But, I can't see myself being with someone who's a completely rat's ass human being.
Yeah, who you? Yeah.
For long.
Right, so, that wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, there's other issues would crop up long before that. Yeah. I think, but so it is trust, but it's It's not a superficial trust. It's a deeper emotional trust.
Yes.
It's a trust that, despite differences, despite errors, judgment, that you can work through it. That even righteous anger, and it may not be you be able to repair it, but you'll be able to work through it. Right? That even righteous anger can be worked through. No, we may be done, but we're not going to be done maliciously. And so there's, but there's my humanist nature. But again, I think everybody's also different. There's people who, in no possible way, can their psyche survive that. Their world would be shattered. It's essentially everything that you know or you thought you knew is no longer what you knew and what you thought you knew. And that's the kind of, I'm at the place, I've been through so much in my life. I've accepted that nothing is like I think I know it. And so I think that's why I can get past these things. I just accepted that I know nothing. I've accepted a long time ago that the more I learn, the less I know. And so, I do the best I can with the thing that I have. And maybe it is. Maybe faith is actually a better word. Maybe when love transcends faith, that's when a relationship is solid. Or love transcends to faith, I guess, is a better way to say that.
Thank you. What are the true virtues to make a relationship perfect? I knew you got this one.
Who the hell wrote that? What schoolgirl wrote that? Someone just out of high school. What the hell? Perfect. Give that shit up right the hell now. Perfect. Oh no. Just forget that. You're trying to find the person that you can tolerate the best. We all need to lower our expectations a little bit. We've seen too many Harlequin movies. Perfect. No, but there is actually a perfection. If you get past the fact that nothing's perfect.
There is a perfection.
There is a perfection. And then that perfection is someone you can work things through.
Yes.
And we go right back to the other answer, is someone you have enough faith in that you can work whatever stupid thing you've done. You can, hey, honey, I just set the house on fire. What were you doing? Well, I was trying to hacksaw that tree down, and the electric hacksaw short-circuited, and the back house is down on fire. You want to be able to do that without. Now you're going to have to listen to it, but your partner knows how much shit you can give you and when to stop and all that, because.
Yeah, I do.
But you're never going to live that one down. So you did something like that.
Here's another good one. Have you ever thought about your dream wedding?
Well, yes and no, because I have thought about my dream wedding, and it's a blank. So.
Okay, here's a good one.
No. You don't get out of that one. So you have to answer some of these questions. Yeah, come on now. When I don't have anything to say, you've got to fill the blanks.
Okay, all right. Have I thought about my dream wedding? Well, my dream wedding with you would be the family all in place. We arrive, walk down to the front, because I would want to get married in front of family and friends. That to me is what a wedding is. They're getting married. You want to go off by yourself, you're getting married. That's not a wedding. This says dream wedding.
I'd rather be drugged through the courtyards of the town naked behind a horse.
I'll let you wear the purple suit.
Purple tux, and that's the only way you can even think about it. Top hat and everything.
Okay, this is interesting. Do you still feel bad because of the next girlfriend? That's kind of open-ended.
Well, man, you know how far back I have to go for ex-girlfriends? I don't remember.
Well, apparently you don't feel bad.
Well, I mean, you can talk about ex-wives as ex-girlfriends, I suppose.
Same thing.
Do I feel bad? Well, yeah, of course I do. I could have been a better human being a hell of a lot sooner. Yes. Um, you know, but it is what it is.
I have regrets. I did stupid stuff.
So yeah. I mean, now this isn't the format to discuss that kind of thing, but yeah, if you don't have regrets, then you haven't taken enough of a hard look at yourself in the mirror. That doesn't mean you beat yourself up. I mean, there's a difference between taking a good hard look at yourself in the mirror and saying, you probably could have learned to be a better human being faster. In retrospect, you probably shouldn't have done that. And that's how you learn to not do it in the future, is by taking the good hard look. I talk about transparency leads to accountability, leads to improvement. I'll let my politics slip in a little bit, but that applies to your individual self. You don't have to actually be transparent to the world, but you do have to be transparent to yourself, right? You can't lie to yourself. You lie to the world all you want, but if you lie to yourself, you will eventually eat yourself alive. So, you got to be honest with yourself if you're going to be a better human being. There's just no way around it. And so if you can't go back in your life, you're 50 years old, and you can't go back in your life and go, there's a few things that theoretically I probably should have been a better human being about. Yeah, of course there was. And anybody who can't says there isn't is a little liar. Or completely lacking self-awareness. One of the two.
I would not make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And I
I'd make completely new ones.
Completely new ones. Yes. And I have.
That. I got to remember not to shake my head.
Don't shake your head.
Long-term consequences of concussion. Okay, what we got?
Do you feel that there should be a proper discussion on each and every little issue in a relationship? And I would like to answer this.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Now, there is a theory, and there's what actually happens. What actually happens is at first you do.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Yes.
And then you get to know the other person and how they would probably react,
yeah.
and how they think on things. So you don't need to check in with them. Later on, you get to know each other better, and you don't feel the need to check in anymore. Really, there's not a need.
Well, when you say check in, I agree with you too. As long as we understand that we check in, all the time.
We check in. Okay, no, to discuss, proper discussion. That was the question.
We check in and see if anything needs to be discussed. See, that's what we do. Now we say every little thing needs to be discussed. No, but we make sure there is nothing that needs to be discussed that doesn't go undiscussed. So there is a difference. We don't check every little thing, but we do routinely check in and make sure we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No. I'm a hard-headed child.
You forget things. You forget to tell me about things.
I've got a million things on my mind, and I was never good before. Right?
Right.
And so I've got trouble. But yeah, you should. What was the question again, though?
Do you feel there should be a proper discussion on each and every little issue in a relationship?
Well, if it's a little issue, it's not much of a discussion.
Right.
But in a sense, yes, you need to, over the course of time, make sure you've discussed everything that needs to be discussed. But it's an ongoing process. But in the other real sense, a lot of it becomes instinct. You know what to discuss. You know what you can not bother with because they're going to just not hear you. Why the hell did you tell me that? What do I care? Right? I'm going to know what you just don't care about. You just.
It doesn't matter one way or the other to you. A lot of things.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of things you're perfectly fine to discuss with after the fact because you know that the other person is going to, okay, whatever you wanted to do in that situation.
That's what I mean.
Especially those that you cared really strongly about.
Yes.
You know, if it's a major purchase or something like that, or a major commitment, there's another thing.
That's another thing.
Like I probably should have asked you if I should have ran for office before I decided I was going to, but that's another question. Even though I knew you have been supportive, but I still probably should have done it the other way around.
What? Done what?
And I decided to run for office. If I kind of take myself look in the mirror, I think I decided that without talking to a damn fool other than myself. So
You kind of did.
well, people asked me, and I thought about it, and I kind of weighed all the things, and I knew you'd be supportive. We'd gone through it 2 years before.
We've gone through it 2 years before. This wasn't something new.
But that was in retrospect, that was a bigger thing. I probably should have had the discussion. And in retro, if you go back to the things I regret, not that it would have changed anything, but I probably should have had the discussion. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's very courteous. Thank you, my darling. I'm sure you won't do that again.
God, I hope not.
Like we say, we make fresh mistakes, and then we just, we don't do that again.
Yeah, I just hope I don't decide to run for office again.
Oh, good heavens. Do you like a mature relationship or a kid kind of love?
Well, I'm a big child, so, but it's not one or the other.
Right.
That's a loaded question because it's not one or the other.
Uh-huh.
If you lose the child part of it, you lose the fun.
Right.
You've got to have that 12-year-old. Now, I may have too much of a 12-year-old, and that's its own problems. But you've got to have a 12-year-old. That 12-year-old, you just got to be there. Well, of course, maybe with its romantic love, maybe a little older, but.
Well,
but you know what I mean.
Romantic love, that's.
But you know what I mean.
I thought we were talking about in a relationship.
Yes, but there's got to be the playfulness. There's got to be the willingness to want to play checkers. The willingness to want to go
splash with water.
Yeah, have a water gun fight. Whatever.
I told you the other night I wanted to shake your soda so bad.
Yeah,
I didn't do it though.
Yeah, and then there's the maturity of knowing which jokes to play and which to not. But see, that's why.
But I told you, and you appreciated it.
No, it would be hilarious. I wouldn't have minded. You would have had to clean it up, but I wouldn't have minded. It would have been hilarious. I really admit. I love a good joke. I can be the butt. I can laugh at myself. It's all fun. It's all good because, well, if I couldn't, then I'd be a huge ass hypocrite because.
Are you kidding? You make me laugh every day. Every single day.
So it's,
and I wouldn't have it any other way. And then there's the mature part. So to answer the question, there's got to be a mix, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, otherwise you just end up like those.
But you don't want someone that just goofs around all the time too. I mean, you want someone who's able to serious up and show the gravity to a subject that is too.
Well, yeah, you don't want a dead relationship that just is kind of exists.
Yeah.
You want to there needs to be some life to it, and so that requires some kind of childishness. And that's that 12-year-old that I keep talking. And I use the word 12 because I have the maturity of a 12, especially like at 2 a.m. But we should do these overnight. We should do an overnight one line.
No.
Stay up till 3 a.m. Let them see me at 3.
No. I can barely deal with you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
But I'm a night owl. And that's like my hour and a half, 2 hours right before bed. And so, it is.
It's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, for me.
If you could choose some, if you would have to choose someone between love and friendship, then what would it be?
Wait. Let's repeat that one.
It's phrased weird.
Yeah.
If you have to choose between love and friendship with someone, who would it be? What would it be?
Well, I can't. I love my friends, so I don't understand.
Okay.
Now, unless you're talking romantic love or friendship, well, I'm too old at this point, so I'm not entirely sure how much difference it makes. But you always prefer love over something less. I would think.
Yes.
There's,
Yes.
I would think you just choose love over something less. I would. Why would you
If
choose?
you have to choose. And have you ever tried to be friends with someone you're in love with? God, it's hard.
No,
It's really hard.
no, I'm not.
In fact, it doesn't work out very well.
Uh,
It never worked. Excuse me. It never worked out very well for me. I'm sure there's someone out there who is capable of doing it, but I've never been able to.
I don't like
Work
torturing
out.
myself. No.
Yeah, torture. It's just pure torture.
I don't like to torture myself. So now the question is, no, I have not. All right. So what else we got?
Will you invite me to your wedding if you marry someone else?
Hell no. What the hell? Kind of. That's just freaking rude. But trust me, if I don't get married to you, there's no chance in hell, and no one else gonna get it. So I'm just saying, if there's anybody's got a shot at you, so I'm just saying. An actual wedding. No. Well, because I wouldn't even invite myself to my own wedding.
What I envision is a party
Yeah.
with an officiant there, and you just do a very small 2-minute thing, and then you continue on with the party.
And we can do away with the officiate thing, and I can officiate it.
Can't we get somebody from Universal Life Church?
But we're not like signing a certificate or anything, so what does it matter?
Oh, that's a commitment ceremony. You got no, somebody did.
Excuse me. I'm a professional entertainer now
You cannot
and
commit,
host.
you cannot have a commitment ceremony for yourself.
Oh, you want now? Now we're gonna have to. Oh my God,
Oh
you
my
did
God.
not.
Well, I did not say that. You and your contrary nature.
Look
Okay,
at. Let's move
back-
on before I get
back
myself
to
in
question.
trouble.
Have you ever done something heroic for your girl in a relationship? Yes.
Heroic?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I've done it a number of times, but that's
What did you
well nothing I can say on camera.
Oh,
Statute of limitations has expired, but still,
oh,
I am running for office.
you brought me milk. I was out of milk and I had no money. And you brought me milk.
That's not heroic.
It was sweet.
That's just being a freaking human being. What the hell?
Do you find it more logical to make a decision by mind, not by heart, while in love?
I make decisions with both
Uh-huh.
because I found that neither one by themselves work very well.
Mm-hmm.
When I make decisions with the head, there's come out awful. When I make decisions with just the heart, well, that's dumb because it comes out awful. So I figured I try to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to work better. That's why you're here. That's why we're still. I started making better decisions because I said I'm going to combine those two things and we'll see what happens.
Let's work that night.
I'm just saying.
Okay, this question is just to prove that it was written by someone in high school. Ready?
God, it's another college freshman. Okay.
Do you agree with the fact that you can't concentrate on anything else while you're in love with someone?
Well, no, I can concentrate on all kinds of things when I'm in love with someone. But if we're talking about someone young, say 17, 18 years old, maybe just first year in college, they're just getting out, they're just really starting to experience the world on their own, it can be overwhelming. And then you add the love into the mix, and it becomes easy to fixate on that because you can just kind of forget the rest of your problems. Then yes.
I think in the infatuation stage,
Well, if you're much older than that, you don't have. You got to go to work. You've got work at 8 a.m. or 2:30 in the afternoon or whenever the hell you go to work. You've got responsibilities. So really, the only people that applies to are college students. Anybody else? Responsibility. College students can't study. They have trouble, and their grades tank. That's just what happens. Yeah, but they all do that in their freshman year. That's the second half of their freshman year. Then they fix it because they realize how to do that, and then they become better human beings because they have the experience of how to compartmentalize. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Simple experience. Experience is a wonderful thing.
Yes, it is. Have you heard a girl who is taller than you?
No. Shorter. Much shorter, but not taller, no.
Here's another one. Do you agree that you cannot sleep properly while you're in
I want to go back to the other one. What doesn't matter?
It's on here.
Yeah, but why would someone...
And also it says, do you have a strong belief that short girls are the best girlfriends?
Okay, you kind of have to try and defend your species kind over there. What the hell kind of questions are these?
I'm curious.
I don't think height matters so much unless you're Shaquille O'Neal dating a midget. That
was just a passing thing. I was curious. I came across it on my list, and I wanted to know for personal reasons. So I...
Personal? What the hell?
Which is that relationship that inspires you to love someone truly?
Wait, what relationship inspires?
Which is that relationship? So do you know of a relationship that inspires?
No.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean, I suppose it could be my grandmother, my grandfather, but no.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly that's just my grandpa. So, and for those, the small story short, my grandfather built this house we live in, literally brick by brick, because grandma wouldn't marry him if she didn't have a house. So he built her house. Bought a little small piece of land, little postage stamp piece of land, and a postage stamp house on top of a postage stamp land, and built it. While they lived in a garage. 40s.
Could you do that?
Yeah.
What is the one rule you should never break while in a relationship?
The one?
The one.
I think you need to like that before I answer this.
Because I don't think there's just one.
Well, if there is just one. You just boil it down to one.
What's that?
You shall not lie.
Okay. To yourself, to the other person.
Yep. Yes, that's what sets you on the path.
Sets you down the bad path.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
If you don't break that rule, your chances of breaking other rules are very, very slim. You may have to have some uncomfortable conversations, right? But that's a different story, right? But that's actually, most marriages fall apart because people don't want to have difficult conversations.
Oh.
They avoid difficult conversations, and then things get out of hand, and they can never put it quite back together again. People say they fall out of love. They don't fall out of love. It's what they've done is they've stopped talking to each other and forgot how. They start talking at each other instead of with each other. We talked about it before. It's the try to win thing. You try to win an argument, try to win a discussion rather than try to maintain peace.
I'm trying to understand and get back to our
Yeah.
calm, peaceful house.
Okay, so the groundwork has changed. Okay, you can accept that, but we've got to figure out where it is. We've got to find the new stable ground.
Yes.
You know, and if you love each other, you can do that. Doesn't mean it's easy, but if you love each other, you can do it.
Okay, let's see. I know how you feel about this. Do you think it's important to get married in order to make your love successful? I don't understand. I get asked a lot, you've been together 10 years, how come you're not married? Well, why should we?
Because
Everything, why should we fix what's going very, very well? I'm perfectly happy and content. Why change any one item?
well, it's because there's two different kinds of married. There's legally married and emotionally married. We're emotionally married.
We're emotionally married.
I sign a piece of paper. Literally nothing changes for me. Quite literally, it's just signing a piece of paper that now has the government involved in our relationship.
That's all it does.
That's literally all it does for us. Because we've created the rest of our lives exactly the way we want. There's literally no benefits. We could argue there's tax benefit, but then there's other issues that come into play that would cancel that out. And it doesn't act. There's literally nothing that would benefit. And I hate making our relationships decision based upon taxes. That's my libertarian part of me coming out in the show. But I hate taxes. There's no way I can love taxes unless they actually fix the potholes in front of on the streets. But since they don't, my roads.
The roads.
I want my roads.
Do you think that difficulties of life can be reduced by having a partner by your side?
Ultimately, yes. I mean, you create some, but if it didn't, humans wouldn't have kept it. It's been a staple of humanity
for a long time,
for farther back than we can track. Quite literally, societies aren't based on the family fall. It's a historical fact. There's a reason for it, and it's not just child rearing. Even though there is that, there's a stability to it. Not just for society, for individuals. When something goes wrong, you have someone to take care of you. And guess what? The world is a crazy place. Stuff goes wrong. And so, having the family safety net, be it one person or your horde of children, raising a farm, helping you out, you can go out and sow the fields while someone else is keeping the fire going at the home front, right? You don't have to do all those jobs at the same time somehow. It just makes it easier, right? It's easier to feed one extra person to plant the extra crops because you're not having the time to have to go in and do all the keep the fire going and stopping all the other stuff. We wouldn't have kept it. We simply wouldn't have kept it. I think it's other somewhere.
Do you think it's simple to fall in love with someone?
The thing was right over there. Simple? No, to fall in love, actual genuine love. No, actual genuine love is hard.
I feel it's more of a decision.
It may be subconscious, but it's not. It's not easy to fall in love. It's easy to think you fall in love. It's easy to have sparks. It's easy to do all that, but you guys got to get past 6 weeks, right, before you can even start really thinking, okay, is it genuine love? People say love at first sight. Well, maybe. There's
I wonder, you fell in love and the stars aligned, and you also, grew to love each other.
Yeah, there was a instant chemistry,
Yeah.
sure, and everything happened to work out.
Everything happened to work out. Stars aligned.
How many people have that same initial chemistry and then fizzles out?
Fizzles out. Yeah, he opens his mouth, says something stupid, and it's gone.
Or he chews chips with his mouth open and you can't attack
it.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what the deal breaker is, right? It doesn't even have to be big, because it just has to be a deal breaker. Not very good in bed. Who the hell knows? Or maybe you don't match in bed your interests and desires, especially if you're young, and because that's more important for you when you're young. Yeah. So, yeah, life sucks. That's what that is. No, love is a grandiose thing. It's just life is hard. It's hard. Love is hard, and that is not a euphemism.
Oh my God. Okay, do we have time for some 10 parenting questions?
Yep.
Okay. First question.
I've raised like 1,000 kids, so I can be good at this.
I have 3 girls.
I've raised mostly boys, but I accumulated a couple girls.
To spank or not to spank?
Well, as a general rule of thumb, I'm going to have to now say no, but there actually technically is a proper way to do it. But no one knows how to do it, and no one wants to actually have the discussion, so the easy answer is no.
No.
I mean, if you want, the technically proper way to do it is only if it's an immediate reaction and only hard enough to get attention, not to cause pain.
Right. Okay.
But right, that's the whole point. If you're spanking someone to cause pain, you're doing it wrong. You're spanking to get their attention that what they're doing is incorrect. But with a child, the farther you get away from the infraction, the more disconnected their brain is from the event. And so it literally has to be an immediate thing. And if it's an immediate thing, it doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be just enough to get their attention. They can actually not feel it.
On a diapered butt.
On a diapered butt. They don't feel it. What they're feeling is the disapproval from their parents. And that's what actually hurts their emotions.
Yes.
Which is actually exactly what you want. But far too many people get their own emotions involved. And then that becomes as frail to humans and parents who have lack of sleep and stress, financial stress, and all the various things that can easily breed into something else. So the easy answer is to say no, figure out another way.
I think that for immediate, it was immediate safety. If it was a danger, and I wanted to submit that is not to be done again.
Well, and oddly enough, if you do it properly in the right age, you don't have to do it very much anymore.
Right.
You never have to do it again, because they understand when you give them that special tone that it's serious, and it triggers in their brain and the pathways. But again, the danger is that we're all so freaking human, and we all have our own bad days, and you also don't want to put in your own set of habits, right? So if you have other techniques available, you should probably use them.
Yes, I use timeouts.
I don't know. I never found timeouts effective, but my boys were a rambunctious bunch. So I just stole their favorite toy. Because usually they were fighting over something or being loud. And so, when they're older, I just took their power cords for their PlayStations and stuff. And the power cord of their computer, or, when they got a little older. I'd take the computer. I just took the power cord and make them find it. They'd find it. I never give it back. They'd eventually find it. And so, but they knew it was sending the message. And well, then there's the pennies. We don't talk about the pennies. So what's next?
Is public shaming good parenting?
No. But shaming is never good parenting. If you get to the point where you have to publicly shame your child, you've done some parenting wrong down the lane. Now, I suppose there is the theoretical possibility that you've just got a really bad seed and you need to send them off to reform school or something because you as a parent don't have the tools to deal with it. I mean, there are
Uh,
kids like that. It does happen.
uh-huh.
Babe Ruth was one. They couldn't figure out what the hell to do with him. Had to send him to reform school and learn to play baseball and make him the most famous baseball player of all time.
Yeah, he was labeled incorrigible.
Yeah, he was incorrigible his whole life, essentially. If he hadn't been a baseball player, he'd have been a dead drunk. He'd have gotten in a bar fight and died or in prison or something at some point. So baseball saved his life. And we all got to watch some guy change baseball. So, so necessarily giving up on your child sometimes may not be actually giving up on your child if you don't have the tools for that particular child. It's not a decision I would.
You're not walking away from the child. You're getting the child the skilled help that the child needs.
Yes, I mean it's not a decision you'd want anybody to have to contemplate.
Oh, good heavens! Oh, that'd be terrible.
But
as a parent, it'd be very hard.
Yeah, but there are those cases.
Yes.
And in a sense, that is one of the hardest active loves you could really do. It's just I'm not going to be able to get them to a functional adult because whatever, and it maybe something happened early in this life that you could have done something about. Maybe there's some trauma involved, but you can't get through to them anymore. And in order to get through to them, they've got to go get to somebody for some more deep help. And how do you choose what? And do you send them to the right spot? And which kind? Oh God! It's just the mental torment, and ultimately having to decide that that's the bigger act of love.
Yes.
Parenting is no joke. It is the biggest act of love you can ever do. And it's not always easy. And I'm blessed that as all the difficulties we had, I was blessed with my path. I had it easy, all things considered, raising my children, and I accept that every day.
Well, they're all good kids. They're all good kids. They've kind of made it easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some bumps in the road, but I mean,
as bumps in the road to go. That's the thing. We got lucky because I could have been much more bumps. Each one of them could have made one choice different that would have sent them down a different path, and they didn't.
Uh-huh.
And we lived at the edge of the ghetto. They could have easily gone a different way. Boys at the edge of the ghetto. They could have easily gone another way, and they didn't. So, part of that's nature, part of that's nurture. Who knows?
Okay, do you share photos of your kids online?
Well, my kids are adults now, but
when they were little.
Well,
in our time, it really didn't seem to be.
It was no big deal.
That big deal. Yeah. But nowadays, there seems to be cause for concern at times.
Well, there is, but there isn't. It's in a sense you just hide in plain sight. There are so many pictures, so much data. The very chance that the wrong person's gonna stumble across yours is essentially zero. But the problem is essentially zero isn't zero. And so you have to make a choice of how much risk you and your family want to take. My family is pretty lax. We're all kind of libertarian about this kind of thing. We figure we just let the chips fall where they may. As in terms of the kids, they don't have any trouble posting. They don't post a lot, but they don't seem to shy from it. I mean, the little one has his own Instagram account, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So it's not like they hide it, but it's the ghetto thing. Bring your trouble here. It's go ahead. We face more dangers than the internet. The internet's the least of the dangers in our neighborhood, right? If we want danger, we just have to open the curtains. It's well, theoretically, okay, not exactly right here. It's actually down the ways a little bit.
It's down a couple blocks. At what age is it appropriate for a kid to get a cell phone?
Well, let's see. Summer got hers in, was it elementary school? No, not elementary school. Her last year junior high, 8th grade, second half of 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
I think we were actually one of the last ones in her peer groups to give them all phone. I think we broke down to give Mitchell a phone was the first one, and then if you give Mitchell a phone, the youngest boy, you got to give them all a phone. But he needed one, so I think. But that was also a different time, man. You bought phones and differently. You did things differently. Phones were just phones then. Like you had phones and texting. You didn't have this smartphone stuff. It wasn't the same thing.
Flip phones.
Yeah, razor phones was the big thing, right? It was. I mean, it was just past the little candy bar phones. It wasn't so. For parenting today, it's a hard thing because in one sense, you've got to acclimate your kids to the environment in which they live. And so if they don't allow them to experience it, you're actually doing them a disservice. They're not going to know how to protect themselves when they enter it.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the things my kids kind of grew up with the internet. Well, I grew up with it, but in their version of the internet, they grew up with it. But I never hid anything from it. I never put parenting filters on. I let them do their thing. It ran its course relatively quickly because if you don't leave it as a taboo, it runs its course relatively quickly. And all those things shouldn't be doing on the internet, and it just and they learn how to protect themselves. But they also knew that I could actually monitor anything they wanted. I wanted to, so they always knew that theoretically I was watching. They never knew when I was or wasn't. So. And so that does keep kind of a lid on exactly how far down the rabbit holes they go. But because I could just break into their computer anytime I wanted at those days, because I built them. Of course I put in a back door. What the kind of stupid do you think I look? And we knew it. Now eventually, here's a little trick for you kids. I stopped putting in a black door long before you guys think I did. I stopped paying any attention. If I wanted to sniff traffic, I could do it a different way. But I stopped actually having access to their computers long before they thought I did, because I no longer needed it. They had built trust over long enough periods of time where I no longer needed it. I knew they knew how to protect themselves. But that's ultimately what you have to do. And if you don't think you have the ability to give your kids the guidance and tools to protect themselves, then I suppose you should. You should wait how much cell phone use and all that kind of thing, probably until at least high school. But you leave them open to dangers that way. They're not knowing how it works. I'm always better off at letting them learn. Letting them learn how the world works and letting them learn how to navigate it. It worked with my kids, but your mileage may vary. I could never tell somebody else, hey, this is exactly what you should do. So this is my experience with my kids where we are. But remember, my bigger danger was creating rebellious kids. Because you live on the edge of the ghetto, the last thing you need is rebellious children. And so I gave them a wide sandbox to play in, and they knew that they just couldn't step outside that sandbox. The hand of God would come down on them, and they actually never really stepped outside that sandbox. I'm going to say never, but they never stepped really far out of it. So they stepped out of it a couple times. Wanted to make sure, took a foot out, stepped a foot out, seeing if I was paying attention. Yeah, paying attention.
Just gotta try.
Well, of course they do. They've got to push their boundaries. They've got to know that boundaries are actual boundaries. That's the key with raising children, is they have to. Now, once they start pushing boundaries, it may be time to move them. But they've got to know those boundaries exist. and that you will actually enforce them. However it is you've decided how to enforce them. Goes back to that thing. We're all different.
Yeah.
I hate power cables.
Good for you. Have you ever? I took away cool clothes for a month.
Cool clothes.
Yeah, she only had blue jeans and t-shirts, no cool clothes whatsoever for a month.
No, you had daughters, so it's a different thing.
Yeah.
I make you have to go on a treasure hunt for their power cables.
Have you ever caught yourself repeating something your parents said to you?
Oh, good Lord, all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it's more often my grandpa, but my grandma means my grandmother. My mother probably said it. So, yeah. No, my kids already do stuff that I say. It sounds like a personal problem. They use it on me. So, yeah, I chat on my mom all the time and my grandpa. Well, I used to. I guess I don't have much opportunity anymore. But
God, when they were little, mine. I know you say it because I said so. That's why. Why? Why? Because I said so. Do it. Quit arguing with me. We've been arguing for 10 minutes. Now you have to do it.
oh, see, my favorite one. I don't know where I picked this one up. Is when the kids would come in and start asking me something, and I would say no. Hey, Dad, no. Now, what do you want? Well, because one, it gets whatever cycle they run in their head, it changes it. So you're actually going to get whatever you're going to get one more real question than the way they were going to phrase it the first time. But it's also you're kind of lowering their expectations because you're likely going to get a no. Except I said yes far more often than they give me credit for.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because I like saying yes. I just want them to.
What parent doesn't? Right?
I just, don't want them to be overly upset when I have on the occasions where I have to tell them no. And so, you set those low expectations so they're happier when they get the yes, and they cut yeses as much as I could. So, but it's managing expectations.
Yes.
He actually appreciated it. It took Michael a long time to understand what I was doing, but once he had kids, once he had a kid, he all kind of understood exactly what I think I was doing. It's kind of funny.
Is he using the same techniques?
Well, no, but he's got his own different family mix, right? He uses some of the techniques. Like he uses that personal problem technique too. And what's the other one he uses? There's another one he uses, but
okay.
Kids.
Okay, for all the parents or everybody, since you have all this experience, how did you deal with the picky eaters? Big question for parents.
Well, we all just ate what we wanted, but I had a unique experience, so I can't actually. I am a picky eater, and so because of that, we all just kind of ate what we wanted every day. We didn't eat family dinners very often, at least in the last, portion of since my daughter was 7. So for the last 10 years or whatever, raising the kids, we didn't really have family dinners or anything like that. Probably before that, but they all ate too much different things, and I had my own issues with eating. And
what about when they were toddlers?
Oh, when they were younger, we all just kind of had mashed foods. It's that thing we would eat. What we like to eat is we'd have our homemade hamburger helper. We ate that far more often than we probably should have. Oh, because it's bulky and you can make a big pot of it and it lasts a couple of days.
Right.
It's potatoes, ground beef, and mac and cheese, some seasonings, and there you go. Homemade hamburger helper. It costs almost nothing. And you could eat it for 3 days. Just make a big pot of it.
That would work.
But
I usually just caved, gave them what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, and then there was the fact that we went for a lot of time. It's actually just about time. We went for a lot of time for just buying dinner essentially every day. So we just kind of bought what everybody would feel like cooking themselves. Wasn't the world's great, but I wasn't going to argue over food at that point. We had more pressing issues. And that's about all the time we've got for the night. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Late Night Love. From me and the Lubbynator, and from all of our viewers or listeners, I guess, out there. We have more listeners than viewers. You can visit us at anchor.fm/late night love. You can leave us a voice message. You can find us on Facebook at Late Night Love. And we will like to thank you for listening and join us next Saturday. Do we have anything on schedule for next Saturday night? No. Let's see if we can. I'm going to try and get a guest for next Saturday night. So try us next Saturday night and see if we can have something special for next Saturday night. All right. And that's all of us from those of us here. Everybody have a good night. And please remember to love everybody.